Holy crap, guys. Today is a big day for AMC. We not only have GameStop earnings in after hours, but you have AMC sitting at a very important technical level in which we must go over. And also the Ortex data, the numbers are starting to move around a little bit. So I think that is also something that is worth mentioning. So let's get into all of this information. Do me one quick favor and hit that like button and subscribe to the channel, especially if you make it to the end of this video. Shout out to all of you guys. So let's get into some of the big events that are happening today. And what has really moved the markets today has been two headlines in particular. They have made us drop, and then following that, they have made us pop. Both of these headlines have caused these major drops, so we're going to have to wait and see if this gets brushed off. This could turn out to be a very positive day in the markets or still a very negative day. But the first headline is from Putin. He says the risk of nuclear war is rising, and that caused a sharp drop in the markets. That was actually this candle right here. It caused a 0.25% drop in the markets, which is very, very big. That's like the average S&P 500 gain in a day in one candle. So that was very big. You also had another headline from the Bank of Canada, and they raised rates by 50 basis points. This also caused a downturn in the markets, but for a little bit of different reasons. They did signal that they were going to pause raising rates, but that inflation was still way too high, and this caused a drop in the market. So there's a couple reasons that could be happening. It could possibly be that American investors are looking at Canada easing as well as America easing as a potentially bad thing for inflation to stick around longer. Just Canada, hiking rates can have a role to play in global growth and getting inflation down as well. Just like with America, obviously we hold more weight, but other countries tightening as well helps, to get global inflation down. Everything, for the most part, is still interconnected. Now, those were the two major headlines. We didn't get much for economic data. We didn't get anything else really that moved the markets. You got the gasoline stockpile numbers that didn't move the markets at all. If anything, that was a bullish thing. Now, for tomorrow, you're not going to have too much as well. You are going to have initial jobless claims for December 3rd, continuing jobless claims, and jobless claims, the 4-week average. That data will come out at 1:30 p.m. So that could give the markets a decent candle. I would say if these numbers come in a lot higher, it's probably going to give you a bigger bullish response. If they come in lower, then I don't expect to see like a big drop in the markets based off this. So I think there's a much greater chance you could actually go up on these numbers than to actually go down on these numbers. Now, for Friday, you are going to have PPI month over month for November coming out at 1:30 in the morning. Or 1:30 p.m., so 1:30 in the afternoon. And at 2 p.m., you're going to have the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey, preliminary survey for December. So you are going to get, some big market-moving catalysts by the end of this week. I think the big one will be the Michigan Consumer Sentiment Survey, specifically seeing if consumer expectations for inflation are starting to go up or continuing to come down, guys. So that's all we have as far as big things that are going to move the markets. As far as AMC and today, a lot of people are looking forward to GameStop earnings coming tomorrow. And obviously, guys, GameStop, we're not expecting great things. We're not expecting great numbers. And as you can see from GameStop stock, it's down a little bit less than 1% today. I believe it has started to recover quite a bit. So that is definitely a positive thing. But odds are this might be a negative thing for GME and could turn out to be a positive thing for AMC. Now, if GameStop does have good numbers and they announce something the market's like, well, that could send AMC up in a big way as well. Something I want you guys to pay attention to. And it was a lot different earlier in the trading day, but GameStop was down a lot more than AMC, even though they're facing the same challenges, even though, the markets both look at these stocks in a negative view, or hedge funds and institutional investors, I should say. AMC was still outperforming, relatively speaking, to GameStop. And now, we are at a very critical level. So I think with earnings, one, you're going to get a big move, whether that is to the upside or the downside. That is going to really change the trend and direction of this move that we have seen as of late in AMC. You're slightly under the 50-day moving average. The 50-day moving average is sitting at $6.77 per share. You're currently sitting at $6.72 per share. So based off of this move that we're seeing today, I don't categorize this as a break of the 50-day. Technically, you have broke it by a couple pennies, but I want to see the stock close at like 660 to get a break, or 650 of this moving average to indicate more downside. And at that point, you might actually hit new lows. But I think just based off of the data that we are getting and the relative price action of AMC, even compared to other stocks today, AMC was doing a lot better. That does make me have a more skewed view to an upside move still to come, and I think we might just hold this 50-day moving average after all. But it's going to come down to GME earnings for sure here in the after hours period. Now, as far as the Ortex data with AMC stock here today, you're looking at 20.23% short interest of free float, 104.3 million shares that are currently sold short. Cost to borrow average of 28.1. Cost to borrow max of 35.15, cost to borrow minimum of 17.85. So when you look at the live cost to borrow rates, still sitting at about 26%, which is almost double what they were sitting at before FTX did collapse. So the more I look into the whole FTX manipulating AMC theory, it starts to make a lot more sense. And like we're going to discuss in the next video, was FTX clearing the way for illicit trading tactics? And they obviously were, like written on paper, they were. And the actual date of FTX's bankruptcy directly coincides with the cost of borrow rates rising in AMC. So I think that is another tailwind that will continue to be a bullish thing for AMC, especially as FTX does continue to unwind. People that did have those tokenized shares, people that were trying to cover up their short positions, well, they might start to have to cover. So I think that is something, a tailwind that is going to be bullish against AMC's back. And I think that's why, relatively speaking, AMC has been outperforming. Now, if we do take a look at the days to cover as well, that is sitting at 6, indicating the volume has went up a little bit relative to the last couple of months. And that's certainly true, but the volume is still very low. And that's a bullish thing, in my opinion, at least, because if you're getting this rally from the lows, right at $5.05 all the way up to $9 and some change, and you didn't even break 100 million for volume, you still have 300 million for volume, if not more, on any given day. That I think is still possible. So when that happens, that's when you could expect to see larger upside, and it might be off of GameStop earnings. I wouldn't throw that under the bus just yet, even though these stocks tend to perform pretty bad after earnings. I think it still is a possibility that the stock could actually rally off of it, or if GameStop earnings are bad, AMC could rally by itself, guys. So you really want to watch the 50-day moving average like a hawk, especially if you have options in AMC. Now, as far as everything else you need to know, guys, the markets are really paying attention to the bonds and the dollar. The bonds continue to go higher yet again, and when these bonds are going higher, it's probably due to recession fears right now and a rush to safety. When there's fears about economic growth, right, that you're not going to get that trend growth, that cyclical growth, investors look to bonds, especially right now when a 10-year yield is around 3.5%. It doesn't look too bad to go ahead and buy some bonds to balance out your portfolio and make that essentially risk-free trade. And at the same time, you might get appreciation in the price of your bonds if this does continue to happen because when price goes up, yield falls. So when price goes up, there's more demand. When there's times of fear and uncertainty, there tends to be more demand for bonds. Not in 2022, but the typical correlation is when yields go down, stocks go up. When yields go up, stocks go down. That's a typical correlation, is they inverse each other. They're competing asset classes. 2022 has been a real anomaly in that sense, guys. The dollar dropping a little bit today, but it's remained very sticky, in this $28 range. And if we can break under that, it's going to be bullish. If we continue to go higher with the dollar, well, that would be a very negative thing. As you guys know, the dollar going up, strengthening is bad for fundamental businesses fundamentals of businesses, I should say that correctly, that do business overseas but are based in America, that take in foreign currencies and convert those currencies back to a stronger dollar. You get less dollars. AMC doesn't have as much of that tailwind. It does a little bit, but the markets definitely pay attention to it, and we pay attention to it because what the markets are doing very well affects AMC, guys. So that is going to be all for this video. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, source your comments, questions, or concerns down below in the comment section. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you in the next one.